here. And the title of the class is Good Night and Sweet Dreams. And the purpose of the class is to give you some tips so that you have a deeper, more restful night's sleep. For some people, it's having difficulty falling asleep. For some people, it's staying asleep. Once they get up to go to the bathroom, some people are awake for the rest of the night. So there's not one solution for everybody, but hopefully you'll be able to find one that works better for you. Okay, so let's take a look at the sleep cycle. Now, I wear a Fitbit purposely because I like to record my sleep cycle. And it tells me the stages of the sleep cycle. The stage 1, the light sleep, the stage 2, the deep sleep, and the stage 3, which is the REM sleep. Now, the light sleep begins the sleep cycle. We have these 3 cycles every 90 minutes, and I never knew that. I thought you go to sleep and you just sleep. If I go to sleep at 12:30 at night, and I wake up at 8:30 in the morning, I said, wow, I had 8 hours sleep, but that's not true. It depends on how you did in each of the sleep cycles. If you had a light sleep most of the night, you're going to wake up tired. If you had a deep sleep for the entire 90 minutes, you'll wake up exhausted and kind of with a hangover. If you have stage 3, which is REM sleep, which is probably one of the most important sleeps because that's the dream stage where you're learning and retaining and editing memories. And most of the time the REM sleep is at the end of your cycle. Now, end of the 90-minute cycle. So I see a graph on my cell phone that's attached to my Fitbit, or I think Apple phones or the Apple Watch has the same similar. And I could see at which point during the night I slept in the light sleep or the deep sleep or the REM sleep. And I can tell when I wake up in the morning, before I look at my watch or look at my iPhone, I can tell which sleep was interrupted, which one didn't work. And they also give you a number, like the higher the number, the better your sleep quality. So there are times that I'll get a 70, which is not good, which means I spent most of the night either in light sleep or awake. They also identify awake times. But I can tell now, because I've been doing this for 2 years, because I could never figure out why did I wake up in the morning so exhausted when I've been sleeping for 8 hours. Right. So I can tell when I was in any of those segments, which was missing and which was out of balance. So it's important to understand that you have these 3 cycles. You could get a Fitbit, you could get, some people go actually to medical doctors and they do a sleep test where you wear something and then it reports back to them. The reason I wrote this class is because I noticed that as I aged, my sleep patterns were changing. I used to be a very deep sleeper, wake up very refreshed, and as I aged, I guess hormones had something to do with it. I had more on my mind than I had when I was younger. And so I wanted to get a breakdown of exactly what my sleep was about. So that's why I wrote the course, because I wanted to analyze my sleep and the sleep of my colleagues and my friends who were around the same age who were having sleep issues. I wanted to see what contributed to a sleep issue, what supported good sleep. And so that's why I wrote this course. So let's take a look at some of the facts about sleep. If you're not sleeping enough in the right parts of the sleep, if it's not all 3 parts of the cycle, your hormones are affected. And so they don't know if it's hormones are affected because of a change in your sleep, or does the change in your sleep affect your hormones? So they don't know which is first, the chicken or the egg. A lack of good quality sleep causes weight gain. And I recognized that when I had clients that would eat healthy and exercise, and yet they couldn't lose weight. They were gaining weight. It never dawned on me to ask them about their sleep quality. And I saw a relationship between a lack of sleep, good quality sleep, and weight gain. So once we had that handled, they were able to lose weight, and they started losing weight. Your brain function is affected by poor sleep. I mean, you know, when you wake up in the morning and you're irritable, or you're upset about something, that it affected your sleep, or vice versa. So how many people here have had any type of sleep issue, or you know people that have sleep issues? Just raise your hand. Yeah, I would say everybody. If you increase your daytime natural light, meaning going outside, if you know the weather
permits,
allows it,
yeah,
or getting a light. Now I bought something called an OTT, an OT light, which is similar to natural daylight. So when I'm at my computer, I have a desk light, and the bulb is an OT light. And it's very different from a bulb like that, or a bulb that is in a lamp where it's yellow.
Right.
The OT light is like bluish white. It's very different.
Is that an acronym? OT?
No, I think it was the man's name who
okay.
created it.
Okay.
And also, what I learned was 2 hours of bright light exposure increases your sleep efficiency by 80%. That's huge.
Absolutely.
That's huge. So you don't necessarily have to be outdoors. What I learned when I did the research is that you could sit in front of a window where the sun is coming in and sit there for 15 minutes. The longer you sit there, the better quality of your sleep. And I'll often do that in the winter. In my bedroom, the light comes in very strongly, the sunlight, around 3, 4 o'clock. And I just sit there and I take off all my clothes. You know, you want to make sure that the sunlight is not just on your face, but it's everywhere. So that's an easy way to increase your sleep efficiency. Now let's take a look at some of the foods that affect your sleep. Now, I was trained as a nutritionist, and so my natural tendency was to ask people to give me a kind of a daily diary of what they eat every day, especially the ones that are having sleep issues. Like, I want to see if they have caffeine, when they have caffeine. And I've had some clients that would drink coffee all day with caffeine. And when we change that, their sleep quality changed, because people that have caffeine can be affected. If you're sensitive, it could affect you 12 hours later, up until 12 hours later. So if you have a cup of coffee at 1 o'clock in the afternoon,
after midnight,
till 1 in the morning, that caffeine is still working on your body and your brain.
What about decaf coffee?
Well, decaf has a little bit of caffeine.
Yeah,
I think it's 1%. But if you're sensitive, even that would affect you. You're better off drinking, you know, even the decaf teas have a little bit of caffeine. Tea in general has less caffeine than coffee. I think the percentage of caffeine in coffee sometimes could be, depending on how strong you like it, it could be 100 grams of caffeine, whereas tea could be 50 grams of caffeine. So a tea, even the ones with caffeine, have less caffeine than coffee.
I've never drank coffee in my life.
Really?
Never.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So alcohol is another thing that's so unusual.
That on the other hand.
some people think that if you drink alcohol, it feels like a sedative,
Right.
but then after the sedative wears off, it's a stimulant. So especially like I drink red wine,
Right.
and I try to get organic red wine because they don't have the chemicals in it that red wine has. That's chemically made. There's also sulfur dioxide, I understand, in the red wine. That's a stimulant. So you have to really be careful. If you're going to have wine, know that it could work the opposite way, even though you feel drowsy when you're drinking it, and it feels great and it tastes great. Citrus fruits and drinks increase stomach acidity, and for some people, that acidity is enough to keep you awake at night. And it may not be strong enough for you to be aware of it, but your body knows if you're trying to sleep. So I'm not suggesting that you never have citrus fruits or never have citrus drinks, but try to allow yourself like 3 hours before you go to sleep not to have anything that could be a stimulant. Except the caffeine. The caffeine has a 12-hour window. Celery is a natural diuretic, so I know a lot of people that wake up every couple of hours to use the bathroom, and once they're up, they're up. If their mind starts wandering on the events of the day or the events of the next day, then they're awake. So just be aware. Celery sounds like a health food, but it depends on your own body. Greasy fried foods, spicy foods, for some people could be a stimulant and give you indigestion, but not enough to give you a stomach ache, but enough to be a stimulant.
What about chocolate?
What is it?
Chocolate.
Chocolate, absolutely.
Caffeine.
Chocolate is the caffeine. So having chocolate before you go to sleep, not a good idea. So I would do the same thing. I would, it's hard to have chocolate before 12 noon because most people like it in the daytime and the
Unless you
evening.
get up at 4. If you get up at 4, 12 noon's okay.
So again, be aware of your body. This is what this course is about, is really to train you to be aware of your body, to be aware of your reactions to things. What stimulates one person could be a sedative for someone else. Bananas are very soothing. Banana is very soothing.
Banana-y.
What is it?
Banana-y.
Yes. Not only the banana fruit, but I recently read that in some countries where they grow organic bananas, they actually boil the banana skin and mash it and pulverize it and put it into a blender, and they drink it into a tea, and that's a natural sedative. Now I can't even imagine. The skin is so thick, and I buy organic vegetables and fruits, but I can't even imagine drinking the skin of a banana.
How long would you have to boil it for, too?
You could look it up.
Yeah.
You could look it up on, Google everything.
Yeah, YouTube.
Google everything, YouTube everything. There's instructions for anything and everything you want.
The best site I found is DuckDuckGo.
I use them too.
Yeah, I don't use anything Google anymore.
I agree. Totally
I'm
agree.
tired of everybody bombarding me.
Right. So oatmeal is another soothing food. Some people will have a need to have something before bed, even though I tell people don't eat 3 hours before you go to sleep. I'm talking about a heavy meal.
Mm-hmm.
But for some people, they need the banana a half hour before bed to have something in their system. Some people who have low blood sugar or diabetes may need to have some food before going to bed so that their fasting time isn't interfering with their sleep. Goji berries, which is I drink a drink that's made with goji berries, and that's a very powerful healing berry that is calming to your body. So I also, when I go into Chinatown, when I used to go to New York, into the city, I used to buy the goji berries and chew on them, and they're like raisins, except they're red.
They're bigger too.
Tart cherries? No, they're
big?
tiny.
They're
They're
tiny.
very tiny.
Okay.
They're usually dehydrated.
Okay.
Yeah, so the goji berry juice that I drink is from Young Living, and I drink it before I go to sleep at night, and so my sleep is very restful. Tart cherries is another thing. I noticed one night when I was having difficulty sleeping, I had bought frozen organic tart cherries, and I put them in the freezer. And I woke up during the night to go to the bathroom, and I was wide awake. So I remembered my cherries, and I went and I took a couple, and then I fell back to sleep very easily. So for some people it works pretty quickly, and for some people it doesn't. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the emotional factors and how they affect your sleep. So some of the statistics show that, this is shocking, 300 million people worldwide are suffering from depression. And that's not just because of the pandemic, it's in general. 75% of them show symptoms of insomnia. That's huge. So almost 100% of the people that are depressed are having trouble sleeping. Because if you go into a pharmacy or CVS or Walgreens and you walk down the aisle for sleep medications, it's like, whoa, look how many different types of medications there are for sleep. So I don't usually recommend that people go that route unless they've tried all these other things, and to also work with your healthcare professional. Now here in the Northeast, we suffer from SAD, which is seasonal affective disorder, which is affected by how many hours and how many days of darkness. And I know that I feel it because I lived in Florida
Longer days.
for most of I'd say the last 10, 15 years. And I didn't have that until I came to New York and experienced one winter, and I saw that. So that's why I bought the light, and that's why I sit in front of the window when the sun is out, even though it's snowing. No, even though the snow has fallen. And sometimes even when it's snowing, the sun could be out on one part of the road and the other part is, the sun is out. If you have anxiety disorders, if you're worried about the future, if you're worried about the past, concerned about what happened to you, your loved ones, if you have any panic disorders, if you suffer from PTSD, from prior experiences, that could interfere with your sleep. And doing a meditation like we did, the breathing exercise, will help. We'll be doing some after the class to show you that there are other things that you can do to help you sleep more peacefully. I listen to music at night. When I go to sleep, I have several types of sounds that I listen to that are specifically geared to calming your brain, calming your adrenals so that your stress hormones are reduced. And we'll play some of them afterwards so that you could have that experience. People with bipolar disorders usually have sleep issues. People with ADHD, people with schizophrenic have sleep issues. So there's probably so many other emotional factors that I haven't mentioned. Can you think of any others? Okay, so what's the positive, what's the benefit of having good sleep? Why is it important to sleep? Because your body and your mind replenish the energy. That's where your memory is built in. Your memory consolidates. The information is processed in your brain. Sleeping strengthens your immune system, and sleeping gives you a calm and peaceful attitude during the day. So there's many, many different aspects of why sleep is important, and it's those 3 cycles that we talked about. You can't get a good night's sleep if you're only doing a light sleep. And several of the things that I'm going over with you will help you get into deeper sleep. So you have to have all those 3 parts of the cycle to wake up refreshed. Any questions? Anything so far? Okay. So
I
the
got a little question.
Yes, please.
I spent half the year by the equator, and when I'm at the equator, I sleep completely through the night. I don't get up. I just here. The 90-minute clock you're talking about.
How interesting.
Yeah.
So your circadian rhythm is affected by how close you are to the equator.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the equator because the sun sets there every day 6:30. It never gets later than 6:30.
That's a very good point, because those longer days when we have daylight savings,
Summer, right?
people have more difficulty falling asleep because of the daylight.
Right, because you're in the daylight.
Yeah.
The majority of the time.
That's interesting.
2 hours, yeah. There. I mean, I do a lot more exercise in there, but exercising in the daylight, 2-3 hours a day, and then 6:30 the sun goes down, and by 10:30 I'm like, okay.
I always wonder about the people in Alaska.
Oh yeah.
During the seasons where they have darkness for 24 hours, how in the world could you get a decent sleep if you're not getting any daylight? I guess you'll have to use those artificial type lights.
I know my parents were there for 4 years. My dad was stationed up there, and my dad never had a problem sleeping. My mother, on the other hand, it didn't work well with her. But my dad, he could. Doesn't matter. Daylight, close his eyes.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. That's so great. So
I
what happened?
Imagine the indigenous people, their bodies have acclimated to the darkness because the body has to sleep.
Right.
So it would be us who would have the problems.
Right. That's a good point. So what happens when you don't sleep enough? Or if you are not going through those 3 phases during the cycle? Irritable.
You're tired.
Reduced cognitive ability. Tired. More anxiety. Stress. I notice when I can tell when I'm interacting with some people that they're having sleep disorders because
cranky.
Very cranky.
Mm-hmm.
Very cranky. You don't see them smiling very much, and there's much more going on, but sleep deprivation is a part of it.
Contributing factor.
Yep. So people are depressed more often when they're not sleeping during the phases of the cycle. If they have chronic pain is increased when you're not sleeping well enough.
But it also prevents you from sleeping.
Yes, so we never know. That's a very good point, Sandy. We don't know which causes it and which is the effect of it. It's like, okay, are we lack of not sleeping because we're irritable? Are we not sleeping because we're anxious? Are we not sleeping because we have pain? Or is the pain caused by not sleeping? So it's probably a combination of everything. Some people who go through menopause, I hear this constantly from my clients who are going through menopause, how wide awake they are. And they're awake because they're sweating, perspiring, because they're getting all kinds of symptoms. And insomnia is usually one of the symptoms that the doctors identify.
Probably can make them feel anxious also.
Yep. So it's like a package.
Right.
any kind of stress, whether it's physical stress or emotional stress, will cause an interruption in your sleep cycle. And I never realized how complicated it is, how fortunate we were or are when we can go to sleep at a certain time and wake up at another time and wake up refreshed. That's like a miracle with all the factors that are being played into. And then people that have ADHD, sometimes their cycle is interrupted, so they're wide awake at night and they're sleepy during the day. And again, we don't know what's causing what. We don't know if the lack of sleep is causing increase in symptoms of any of these, or vice versa. Okay, so what could we do? What kind of habits can we create? Let's try to avoid caffeine at least 8 hours before bed, because we learned that caffeine will stay in your body and have an effect for 12 hours. Eat your last meal 3 hours before retiring. Now I'm talking about a big meal. I'm not talking about a banana, or like what I need to do sometimes is have a protein shake. I have a protein shake before I go to sleep so that I'm not fasting for very long, because my body needs more food throughout the day and night. You can make sure you're hydrated. Very often people will have aches and pains and they don't realize it's because they're not drinking enough water. If you wait until you're thirsty to have water,
It's too late.
you're already dehydrated. Absolutely right. So you want to make sure that you keep drinking 6 to 8 glasses of water a day. That helps you. And I just recently read that if you drink water before you go to sleep at night, even though it'll wake you in the middle of the night to urinate, but it helps prevent a heart attack. They said if you have water, a glass of water before bed. Yeah.
And they tell you to have a glass of water when you wake up in the morning.
Yes.
Also.
You want to cut back on your sugar and simple carbs, because those are all stimulants. Everything, the simple carbs, the white flour, the white pasta, the white rice, the white bread, they all turn to sugar. And we have a pretty high rate of diabetes in this country. Yeah. So you want to just be aware of your carb intake. I always tell people it's a big difference between complex carbs and simple carbs. The complex carbs are the fruits and the vegetables and the whole grains, the good stuff. That's not going to have the same effect on your body as a simple carb, like soda and all the sugar stuff. Yeah. The complex carbs takes a lot longer to digest and assimilate, so it's better for you. It takes place over hours instead of within minutes. You want to also, now this is important, to avoid screens before bed, because there's blue light emanating from the screens that triggers stimulation in the brain. Now I have glasses that are blue light protected. I try to stay away from my screens at night, even though I have this, but this helps a lot too.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really does.
I've always recommended them, and I'm like,
Yeah, I do. I have that.
Okay.
The best thing is to avoid them if you can.
Right, that's what I try to do.
Some people actually are told to keep the screens, the iPads, the iPhones out of your bedroom.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Keep them in another room.
It's a good idea.
Also, remove electronic equipment from your room. Like some people have such sensitive bodies and spirits that they have to keep the TV out of the room as well, because the TV is a screen that also emits a blue light.
Right.
And so I don't have a TV in my room. I used to years ago, but then I started doing research for all this. I do my best to keep away from them.
Right.
And I watch TV at night. It's in another room. And then when I get ready for bed, I usually allow 2 hours to be in my room without anything, just reading a book or writing notes or.
Those 2 hours, I'm already out.
Yeah. So for some people who are like me, who are sensitive to light, they need room darkeners, room like shades or curtains or eye shades. Some people need earplugs because they're sensitive to sound. Like I keep my windows open all the time. I'm on the 3rd floor of an apartment building, so I hear everything outside, and I hear everything inside. I hear the walls are pretty thin. I hear when people are coughing. I hear when they're talking to each other. So I do earplugs.
So also, yeah.
I also have an electronic.
Noise thing?
No, it's I don't want to mention her name, but she starts with an A. It's a device that I tell her what music
Alexa?
to play for me.
Alexa.
I try not to say that on this recording.
Oh, sorry. Never
Yeah.
say anything.
He'll black it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I have specific types of music that I listen to before I go to sleep and while I'm sleeping. So I don't have to have my phone or my iPad in the room.
Right.
I can tell her to play it.
Oh.
And I'm sure that's electronic also, but at least it's not a screen.
Right, right.
At least I'm avoiding that.
I have to be weird. I can drink iced tea all night long to the minute I go to bed, eat chocolate, okay?
Wow.
I don't need it to be dark. I have lights on. I have a light that's shaped like a star. It's just got a little bulb in it. That's on. And then the night light is on because I'll fall over the dog if I don't see her.
Wow.
The dog sleeps with me, and the only time I wake up other than to have to urinate is when the dog is snoring. I can't handle she makes she's a big dog. She snores loud. Nothing. I have no anxiety. I don't have
That's good.
My life
You're
is
very
like this.
rare.
Yeah.
You're a very rare person.
No, I know I'm weird. I accept that.
I remember
That's
when
really
I,
amazing.
when I lived in the city, I lived right under the flight path of LaGuardia Airport,
Mm-hmm.
and the Long Island Railroad was right behind.
Yeah.
So all night long, the railroad, the planes, I moved up here.
The crickets.
Well, I got here in the winter.
Uh,
It was silent. I couldn't
it's very
sleep.
quiet.
I
Oh,
couldn't.
so that was your white noise.
That was
all
my
that
white
other
noise.
stuff?
I couldn't sleep, and then
Right.
after 3-4 months, I was okay. And then the crickets came, and I was like, I never realized
That's
they
so
were so
funny.
loud. Yeah.
Isn't
Yeah.
that we're
Yeah.
like creatures of habits, and
so true.
Oh, and I
So
love
many-
I love it. I love to hear the crickets and the bullfrogs. I had bullfrogs in the
Ponds.
ponds and I have so much land that they're
Right.
all
Nice.
and the birds and the fisher cats screaming. I mean, I've got everything in there. I don't hear a thing, and I'm a light sleeper.
wow.
But those sounds you're
I'm
accustomed to.
familiar with
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
so they don't
They affect
wake
you.
me.
That's great.
Yeah, so it's really important as we're discussing these areas that you get to know yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really important. Some people can do what you do, Sandy. If somebody else did it, they would be awake all night.
Yeah.
So it's very important to recognize what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and to adjust your way of
And
eating.
we probably all need to adjust to as we get older. As different things
Yeah.
change.
I'm getting
Yeah.
younger. Forget about
That's
getting
good.
older.
That's good.
Okay, so let's take a look at some more good sleep habits. The blue light blocking glasses, as I told you, the earplugs for some people, or white noise. Some people. I remember when I had a client that lived in an apartment building and heard the neighbors snoring.
Wow.
And so she tried everything. She tried the music, that didn't work because she heard the snoring on top of that.
Wow.
She tried bringing an electric fan into her room and putting it on high in the winter, so the humming of the motor was in sync with the same decibel as the snoring.
Oh my god.
So that worked. And then she downloaded some sounds from, I think, Apple Music that was like sounds of a fan motor
Oh.
or sounds of an outboard motor. I mean, she tried everything until the neighbor moved. That was the best thing.
That's so-
Oh, she didn't kill him in his sleep.
No, it was a woman.
No.
It was a woman snoring, like, every time she snored, she talked.
Oh.
Oh.
So it was snoring and talking
words
all
are-
night long. So
And how do you tell somebody, listen, lady, muffle it?
yeah, yeah, it was a challenge, and I'm sure this is not the only story. If I
No.
talk to some of the people that live in some of my buildings,
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
yeah, the buildings are not made very well.
No.
So
Especially,
walls are very
especially the
thin.
newer ones. The older
Yeah.
ones you could probably,
Exactly.
you know.
So the breath work, like what we did earlier, we did some breathing. What also helps is if you're using diaphragmatic breathing, if you breathe in through your nose and push out your diaphragm and then exhale, and we'll do something like that after the class is over. Massage helps. For some people, getting a massage before they go to sleep is great. Some people go to a steam room or have a steam room in a gym that's nearby or part of their community has a steam room or a gym, sauna. Exercising during the day, like a mild exercise, at least 3 hours before bedtime, not before you go to sleep. You don't want to overstimulate your body. So exercise is important. Snacking on simple carbs, and I had said avoid it, but for some people, eating potatoes or peanut butter and almond butter, a banana, yogurt, a little of that, those good carbs could help you sleep better because it releases, like some athletes will do carb loading
Right.
the night before an event. They won't eat good healthy stuff like this. They'll usually eat pasta.
Yeah. Especially
Because-
the marathoners.
Exactly. So drinking a hot beverage before bed is healthy if it's caffeine free, of course.
That's my weird thing. I've never drank anything hot in my life.
Oh wow, interesting.
No coffee. I drink soup, but tea.
Interesting.
nothing
Hot cocoa?
Nothing hot.
Some people drink milk before they go to bed
I
because
used
of
to
the
drink milk,
calcium
and
in
then I
it.
became lactose intolerant. So
And supplementing your body, I didn't write this here, but supplementing your body with calcium and magnesium are natural relaxants. That helps a lot. I do that. I take them every day.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah, there's also at least the rare times that I can't fall asleep. I close my eyes and I make a box in my head. I make a box and I hold my breath two sides, then let it out two sides.
oh, good.
And
That's excellent.
I
Good
I
breathing
really don't have
exercise.
much of a hard time falling asleep.
That's
But
one
that
of the
helps.
things that we can do to help you sleep. If you get up during the night to go to the bathroom and you can't fall back to sleep, doing that kind of breathing. Not for some people, it's not necessarily seeing the box, but
Right.
taking a deep breath for the count of 4, holding it for the count of 4, and exhaling it for the count of 6 to 8. Very slowly exhale. And usually after a couple of rounds of that, you're sleeping. You're back to sleep again.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think it's Dr. Andrew Weil that first came up with that suggestion of 4-4-6, 4 in, 4 out, 4 in, 4 hold, and 6 out. Okay. Now, for exercise, people ask me all the time, should I exercise before I go to sleep? Should I jump on the trampoline before I go to sleep? You want to exercise 2-3 hours before bedtime. It helps reduce aches and pains, also relieves depression and quiets your mind, and it lowers the risk of falling. Some people I know have gotten up during the night to go to the bathroom and fell on the way there or fell out of the bed. So you want to make sure you're doing some kind of exercise. Walking or qigong or tai chi is really great.
Walking to the
Also-
refrigerator and back.
Decreases the amount of time to fall asleep. Also alleviates daytime sleepiness because you're getting your heart pumping. It's great exercise. You're getting more oxygen. And it reduces the development of sleep apnea. Most people that have sleep apnea are people that are overweight. and we don't know if which comes first,
Right.
being overweight causing the sleep apnea or the sleep apnea causing the overweight. But they're definitely intertwined. And also exercise helps reduce stress. Okay, what are some of the calming activities that you can do before bed? Take a bath or a hot shower. Do relaxation techniques like what we did with the breathing, and what we'll do afterwards. You want to limit your daytime naps. Some people are so tired during the day because they didn't go through the different phases of the cycle that they take a 2-hour nap and then they can't fall asleep at night because they're so wide awake. So if you are going to take a nap, set an alarm and only do it for 30 minutes. Or tell A to wake you up in 30 minutes. You walk outdoors in nature and breathing in brisk fresh air or the cool air from the forest. You know, there's something called forest bathing. I don't know if you've heard of it,
I
but
saw it last night
Where?
on the Discovery Channel.
beautiful.
Yeah, I was
Perfect timing.
Yeah, I know. And you
Yeah, there are
mentioned it
people
now.
that actually have classes in forest bathing. They have people meet you in the forest and they spend an hour, talking to the trees, breathing, earthing, taking off your shoes and socks. Oh, I forgot to add that.
Right, walking
Taking
barefoot.
off shoes and socks,
Socks.
walking barefoot on the earth will also help calm you and
Absolutely.
help you sleep. So that's usually. Did they talk about that in the video?
No, I don't think so. But I might have fallen asleep.
Okay. It works.
I was bathing, forest bathing,
And relax. So
and
relax.
relaxed.
That's
Yeah,
very cool.
yeah.
So Qigong, Tai Chi, yoga are all wonderful exercises that you can actually do before bed. That will calm every cell in your body.
Yoga's great. Yoga's
Yeah. You want to make sure you keep TVs out of your bedroom. Go to sleep when you're tired. So many people go to sleep because of the clock. It's 12 o'clock. I better go to sleep because I have to get up soon. And they're wide awake.
Yeah.
They're not tired enough.
No.
So I would recommend going into your bedroom an hour or two before you're ready to fall asleep and read a boring book.
Right.
If you read a boring book, then that'll calm you into sleep. That'll hypnotize you.
Now you
into
wear
sleep.
the watch when you sleep?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And I know.
I do too, but
I know.
it's the first time I saw the sleep. I'm
find it.
relatively
Oh,
new
cool.
using it, so
I'll show you how to do it.
okay, great, yeah. 'Cause
Yeah, so I know that there are some
that's why I keep going back to it.
electromagnetic frequencies being emitted from this. People
Right.
are saying don't sleep with it.
Right,
Yeah, but then how does your sleep get notated?
Then you can't. Then
Right.
you can't record it. So
No.
if you minimize everything else around you
right.
throughout the day and night, plus I want to show you what I wear. I also wear a magnet
Mm.
day and night. Whoops, I'm trying to get it out. Let's see. I'm all tangled up. But I have a magnet that I wear, if I could get it out, that protects me from the radiation.
Oh.
So hopefully it's protecting me from the radiation
From the watch.
from the watch. Yeah. Okay. So
Interesting.
meditation, qigong, keep TVs out of and go to sleep when you're tired. That's really important. Go to sleep when you're tired. Okay. This is another factor. Remove illuminated digital clocks out of your room. Because if you tend to wake up during the night to go to the bathroom and you look at the clock, that could affect whether you go back to sleep or not. Thinking, oh my God, it's only 4 o'clock and I'm wide awake,
Mm.
or it's 3 o'clock and I have 4 more hours to sleep.
Right.
So remove the clock or put a towel over it.
Turn it the other way.
Dim all your lights before bed. Can accept Sandy. Avoid bright lights like in the bathroom.
Mhm.
I have all my lights closed
Mhm.
in the bathroom and I have a diffuser going with a little tiny purple light, so
Okay.
at least I see where I'm going.
Right.
And then, of course, read until you get sleepy. Read a book that's boring. Don't read an adventure book.
Right.
Don't read a thriller. Don't read a thriller that's going to keep you awake at night.
Right.
And you want to listen to calming music. Okay. I'm actually going to take this off because it's interfering with everything.
Shelley, we have it's almost 4 o'clock.
Okay.
I hate to do that to you, but
That's cool. I just want to get this off, and then we can do this. Perfect.
good.
Perfect timing.
Excellent. Good
So
night and
thank
sweet
you all
dreams.
so much.
you.
Hopefully you
Thank you.
learned at least one new thing today. And let us know. Keep in touch. My name and phone number is and my email is on the flyer. Let me know, if you use one of the pieces of information and how it affected you.
And this is being videoed, so you can go on the Pine Bush Library YouTube
Oh,
channel
cool.
and see Shelley on
Live.
Live.
Well, not live. But
videoed.
when you were saying breathing, I mouth breathe. I mouth breathe since I was 15 and I had my nose broken. Never got. Every once in a while, I'll concentrate. Like when you said the exercise where you inhale through your nose and push your diaphragm out. That I try to do that when I walk. But most of the time, I breathe through my
I
mouth.
have another suggestion for you.
Okay.
Besides checking with your medical doctor to see if you have sleep apnea.
Oh, I do have it,
Okay.
but I hate the machine.
So one of the things that I investigated on YouTube, which was very valuable, I was doing this because several of my clients said the same thing.
Mhm.
There's a medical doctor who's a sleep specialist who suggested that people tape their mouth shut. I'm like, whoa.
That's drastic.
So there's special tape. It's a paper tape.
Right.
I bought it because I wanted to try it before I taught my clients to do it. I wanted to see if I survived the night.
Right.
So I bought the paper tape. I made sure that my nose was clear,
Right.
that I could breathe through my nose.
Right.
And I have sinus issues all the time,
Yeah, me
so
too.
I had to make sure that my sinuses were open.
Mm-hmm.
And for some people, using a nasal spray works. For some people, doing neti pot works to make sure their nasal
It's
passages are
cleaned out.
open. I take my mouth shut, and it worked. It forced me to breathe through my nose.
Okay. I'm good. with
Even when my nose was a little stuffy,
it. Right.
the more you use your nasal passages that way, the more often you'll sleep without taping your mouth. So I did that, and I took pictures of myself when I woke up in the morning. I said, I bet there's a lot of people that would like my mouth taped. So
That's interesting.
after a few months of doing that, I figured I would try it and do it along
Sure.
with my clients. I
Sure.
think
Sure.
it was a habit. It became a habit. And I sleep now that way without the tape.
Oh.
I tell myself before I go to sleep, breathe through your nose. Keep your mouth.
So it's a tape that goes over your mouth.
Yeah, what they do is you kind of,
I'll have to shave, but
you
okay.
pinch the edges of it so it
Right.
doesn't, so you have a way to pull it off.
Gotcha.
They recommend that you put like a lip balm on your lips so that it doesn't stick to your lips.
Okay.
But it sticks to your lips enough to
Right.
keep your mouth closed.
Huh.
And it's amazing.
That's interesting.
It's
yeah,
amazing.
I gotta look for that. And just in a regular pharmacy.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'd
I
like.
got it at Walgreens.
I'd like to try it. I know that'll make my wife happy if I sleep over
If
my
you
mouth
have,
shut.
if you don't have sinus issues,
I do have sinus issues. But when I was 21, the doctor told me, "Do you have a lot of headaches?" And I go, "No," and I still
Okay.
don't. I
so
still
just you could use a nasal spray. I use a nasal spray called Xlear,
don't. Excellent.
which is basically saline solution
Right.
and xylitol.
Right.
It's not a drug,
Right.
so
Just
you could do that. So let me know. Let me
Sure.
know how it works.
great. Okay.
Excuse me, I have to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. It was
Thanks
fun.
very much.
Hopefully you learned something new.
Did?
Yeah. No. That's good.